Hi, I'm Lexi, and welcome to my channel. I thought this would be a good video to start out because it's something that I speak very passionately about, and it's something that has worked well for me. I'm a transaction coordinator, so I have someone who manages my emails and my inbox every single day. I thought it might be helpful to anyone, not just transaction coordinators, but anyone in the real estate field. I'm going to be talking from that perspective, but it really can apply to anyone. If you are getting stressed out from your emails, then this is something that can really help you. If you delegate, you will elevate your business. I'm going to be talking from a real estate perspective and from a Gmail friendly perspective. So if you have Outlook, you can still connect it to Gmail and use the Gmail app with an Outlook email, but I'm going to be talking from not having that experience. So if you have Gmail, then this is for you. If you don't, I would try to find a way to make sure that you can connect to a Gmail. And also another thing to note here is I have my own domain, so I'm able to add users as I need. Whereas if you just have an @gmail.com, this may not work for you and configure well with your system. So if you haven't already created an email, I would highly recommend creating your own domain for that. So, where do you hire a VA or someone to handle your inbox? I'm going to talk from my experience, and from my experience, I have had only VAs. I have outsourced my work from different countries. We've just used Philippines. We have had experience with Bangladesh and Colombia people. However, we've had the best experience from Philippines. You can do onlinejobs.ph, Upwork, or go through your own VA hiring company where they will fully train and hire and interview the whole process. You can skip that whole process that I'm about to talk about. I've only done onlinejobs.ph because I like to interview them myself. I like to pay them myself. I like to train them how I like to train them. So that's why I do it that way. If you don't like to do any of that part, definitely go through a hiring company, and these next few slides won't pertain to you as far as how to hire them. VA Upwork, I have not had experience with Upwork, but I've heard great things. It's just another platform for finding VAs across different countries. One thing to note about onlinejobs.ph, you do have to pay about $70 a month for a subscription. However, once you hire them, you definitely have to cancel that subscription or they will charge you monthly. So it's really easy process. You can just go ahead and cancel once you have found a good group of interviewees. So how to hire. On online jobs, I post a job with the description, just like you would see in any other platform like Indeed. And then I create a Calendly link once I've gone through some of the applicants. I narrow out a lot. I've gotten anywhere from 50 to 80 applicants at once, and I will go through every single one. And one big way that I will eliminate them immediately is if they don't have a resume. If they have a resume, I'll take a look at it. If they don't have experience that I'm looking for, I'll eliminate it. If their resume looks clean, professional, then I'm going to go ahead and add them to my cart for interviewing them. When I send them my Calendly link, I'll send it via email and with blind CC all of them with a link to schedule an interview. On my Calendly link, I like to make it a form. You can do this in Calendly where they answer pre-questions. So with those questions, I'll go ahead and add a predictive index test. You can do this for free. You just go to predictiveindex.com and hyperlink the test into the Calendly link form. And then in the Calendly link, I request the interviewee to provide the result in the form. So the predictive index test takes about 5 minutes. So it's not that extensive. It should be a quick thing. If they don't take it and they can't follow the instructions easily, then I'm just going to cancel the interview because it's not worth it. You should make the instructions pretty clear for them. And if they cannot figure out how to take the test and provide the results to you within the form, then how can you expect them to manage your emails? Okay, number 4, I like to interview about 15 to 20 people per role. And once I eliminate them, I'm able to kind of gauge on who I'm really like liking, because I'm taking notes during each interview. I'm asking very specific questions on their experience and how they would handle certain situations. And then I'm eliminating them based off of that. And I also give them a rating. It may sound rude and it may sound harsh, but I'm really looking for how their English is and how they're able to come up with the answers that I'm looking for in the questions that I'm asking them. And these questions might mean a little bit different things to you. So that's why I'm not going to provide the interview questions. But those are the things I'm really looking for. And I'm taking notes on their answers to the same exact questions I'm asking everyone. And I'm rating them on a scale of 1 to 10. So I'm eliminating them and I'm leaving about 2 to 3 people to go on to the next round. I always do a second round of interviews. So the second round of interviews, I'm just going to ask more detailed questions, leave them with a question of, would you like to do a fake file test? And so with that fake file, I'm giving them a scenario where an email comes in and what they do with it and how they reply. So they're drafting an email. I'm seeing their written format and I'm seeing how they handle a high stress situation. I'm not giving them real work. I'm not giving them anything that is going to benefit me. So I don't believe in that. I don't think that you should fake hire people to do free work for you. No, that's not what this is. This file test should take maybe 20 to 30 minutes max. So if it's taking them longer, then maybe this isn't a right role for them. But that's a scenario where I set up something to really evaluate something that they would handle and react to, and mainly their writing skills. So based off of that, I'll go ahead and hire the person that I'd like to start right away and cancel my subscription. That's very important. Make sure that you cancel the onlinejobs.ph subscription or you will be charged again. Now that you've hired your person, here's how we're going to onboard this VA. So I like to make a Google Chrome login for them right away by making them their own domain email with my domain. So it'll be like their first name at yourbusiness.com, and set up their extensions so that they have their own Chrome profile with all of their extensions that I'm going to have them be in and out of. These are some of the Google extensions that I like to use. So might mean different things to you depending on what type of work that you do, but I'm talking from a real estate perspective and a TC perspective more specifically. So LastPassword. This is very important because it can save all of your passwords into one extension without having to share them with your team members. So you provide them access to LastPass, and when you log into a new platform, it'll actually just autofill the password for them without them having to ever log into it. So it's like a master password for all of your little passwords. This is really helpful for being a TC because we're going in and out of different agents platforms all the time, and I don't have time to share this with all of my team members, and I really don't want them to know these passwords anyway. So this LastPassword extension is really life-changing. Simple Gmail Notes. This is an extension for your Gmail notes. It actually integrates into your Gmail and leaves sticky notes at the top of every single email that you just have to log in one time, and any of your team members who are in your inbox can see that note left there. We'll go into that a little bit later. Magical Text Expander. These are for shortcuts. I use Magical for a lot of things when I'm typing out quick abbreviations, especially in real estate. There's a lot of lingo and shortcuts and abbreviations and acronyms that we use. So I like to type everything out for people who don't know what they are. So like when you're typing a seller's real property disclosure to a buyer, they're not going to understand what SRPD is. So I'll type SRPD asterisk mark and it'll just expand it right away. This will do it in any tab in your browser. It doesn't do it in any other platform on your computer, just on Google Chrome, since it is just that extension. If you are looking for something that does expansions and templates like that for all platforms outside of your Google platform, you're going to want to download TextBlaze. That one you do have to pay for, but it's definitely worth it if you are typing a lot of emails in and out of different programs. Grammarly, this is really helpful for VAs because sometimes Grammar is just a little bit off, not always, but it's good to just have that safety there just in case. It will automatically spell check, and not only spell check, but grammar. And if sentences are strong or how they're worded, it will rate them. And it's really helpful. It's a really great extension, especially for email management. You're going to want to have them to have the strongest skill set of writing that they can possibly have. So the last one I'm going to talk about is small PDF. This is another extension I like to have handy just because of the work that I do. We are always editing documents, combining, merging documents, splitting documents, and small PDF, having that at your fingertips at the top, and you just drag it and it just does what you want it to do. It's awesome. So highly recommend paying for that one as well. How to onboard. Step number 2, allow access to your inbox, different passwords from other logins. Like we already talked about, last password is going to be there for all of your logins. However, they are going to need to get into your Gmail. So having access to your Gmail is going to be crucial. I highly recommend you having a different password for your Gmail versus your other login information. So that way that they can't try to get into any other stuff. Not saying they're not trustworthy, but it's always good to just have that safety in your mind. So create an easy password for them and for you to remember just for your Gmail only. Everything else, you can easily just make it your personal password that you usually have. Okay, number 3, set up your Gmail system, email templates, and folders. So once you have their Google Chrome set up and into your Gmail, you're going to also want to make sure that your current system is flowing already. So Gmail system, email templates, and folders. So I'm going to go into my Gmail right now and show you what that looks like. So this is what my current Gmail inbox looks like. As you can see, it says, woohoo, you read all the messages in your inbox. It's really awesome because I didn't have to do any of that. As you can see, it's being used in another location. The way that I have it set up is in 3 different sections in my inbox. It doesn't look like a normal inbox when you first create an account. I created it this way for a very specific reason. I have all my important and unread emails up here. If it's not important and it's not read, it goes down here. So here's an example. This is just a marketed email to me from Future Flipper. Shout out, you get a free plug. And so let's say I got this brand new email in my inbox and I think it's important. I need to view it later. I'm going to star it. I can change it to different colors depending on what that means to me. So this might mean really important. And this might mean, okay, it's done, and you can change the amount of stars you want to have in your settings. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So let's say it's blue, meaning it's not important, but we need to make note of this or something like that. So I'll say it's not important, and this is my simple Gmail notes up here. So you say like, please note for future reference. I don't really know what that means, but I'm just using this as an example of how to use this. I'm going to date, d/autofills. You can do dd date, autofills the full date. The way I did those is in text expander. So stuff like that, I like to always leave a date and my initials. That way people who are in here can see who left the note. Okay, so let's see what it looks like when it goes into your starred. You can preview the Gmail note here, and it's starred. So even though you might not have brand new emails, you have this for easy access for training or for anything important that you want to note or have quick access to. Okay, so let's say we're done with the email. Complete. I'm going to say move to admin, file it away. Boom. No new mail. Okay. So I like it that way. It just feels a lot more organized because I have all of my folders down here. I know where I can find things, and Gmail has such a powerful search engine that if I just typed in one word, Future Flipper, You can find it right here. So, yeah, if you guys want to set up your Gmail like this, I'll show you quickly how to do that. Go to settings, go to inbox, change it to priority, and it'll automatically have these three: important and unread, starred, everything else. You can add sections if you want, but I like just those three. It's very simple and it's easy to use. And make sure you always save it. So one thing I'd like to note too, I can do a whole nother separate video on all of my tips and tricks and my very specific Gmail settings that I like to have. I'm just going to go through and see if there's anything that stands out. So show 50 conversations per page, always undo send the max amount. I can't tell you how many times I use this every day to unsend an email. Yeah, so you have 30 seconds to do it. Default reply, always reply all, especially in this business. Always reply all. That's my default. You can do it from your phone. It'll just automatically do reply all. Auto advanced, after deleting or moving in a conversation, I always go to the next conversation. Always go to the next. The newer one, not the older one. Make sure it says newer. Conversation view, off. Fuck that shit. Sorry, pardon my language. Conversation view is probably the worst thing that was ever invented by Google. I think they're actually starting to automate new accounts with conversation view off. I'm not going to go into why I hate it, but yeah, just turn it off. Smart reply on. Love smart reply. It learns your language and the types of words that you use. So definitely turn that on, because if you're going to have someone in your inbox, they're going to be able to use how you write and mimic that. Here's where you can change the stars that you want to use. I have these ones in use, and then there's these ones you can change to have in use. Nothing else is really standing out to me in here. Definitely labels. I like to hide a lot of labels, especially these ones that come with Gmail. They're not that important. You can turn them on for promotional stuff if you have a lot of junk mail, but I unsubscribe from a lot of junk mail. Chat and meet. I use Google Chat sometimes, more so for just training, but Slack has been working really well for our team, and so I've been sticking to that lately. So you can turn that. I'm going to turn that off. And you can position where you want the chat to be too. Okay, if these are disabled for you automatically, definitely enable all four of these. Auto events especially. Yeah, this one is really nice. When you're triaging emails, you can easily, as soon as you exit out of one, it'll just go to the next email. So once you have that inbox type set up, you can create your folders and your templates. So to create a template in Gmail, if you want to do it specifically from Gmail and not TextBlaze or AutoExpander, you can do that by just going to these three little dots down at the bottom of your message and hit template and scroll all the way down to save draft as template, save as new template. Obviously, I didn't create one, but make sure when you do and you have a signature that you delete the signature, because then it'll add it twice when you draft that template. So make sure when you are creating a draft template that it starts like this. And then, so like this is just training example, template, save draft as template, save as new template. So compose, see how it automatically has my signature. Then now you don't have to go and delete it. So boom, there it is. And it'll save however you write it. So if you have it bold or italicized, it's going to remember everything, how you have it and the amount of enters you have. So some like Magical, they don't do that. So make sure that you have your really important emails saved in your Gmail. If you use different types of lingo like that, that's what you'll want to use from your Magical. And it's really tedious to have it set up right away. So I highly recommend making mental notes or writing it down every time you think of something that you are typing a lot that takes up your time, like SDN. Boom. That's just one shortcut. But the most important one and the most commonly used one that I have is D slash just the date, or DD slash full date. So I use those hundreds of times a day. So I would get those ones uploaded first in your auto text expander. The rest, I would just write them down as you go and then try to mass implement them, because if you try to just think of them before it, you're just not, it's just going to be an ongoing thing that you're always going to be updating. All right, let's talk a little bit about the folders in Gmail. So you kind of got a preview of what it looks like in one of my emails, but depending on what type of business you're in, you're going to have anywhere from 6 to 12 types of folders for your new email manager. So you're going to want to categorize them into different things that you think are going to be in different groups. I know it's kind of vague, so let's just give you an example. Here I have 8 types of emails. So we're dealing with contracts. I deal with a lot of emergencies, so-called, and compliance and prepping things to get signed and sending emails out to other people. So I've categorized them for myself into these 8 categories, and it might be similar for you. So feel free to use these as examples or just to get started, and then you can tweak them as you go. But this is how I would definitely start training your person to manage these types of emails. So it is important to know first what that email is and what category it goes into when you're triaging your inbox. So an email is something that's needed for you, anywhere from 6 to 12 different types, and create a system in place to categorize these email folders. So using the simple Gmail notes for training, you can definitely start labeling different types of emails for them to understand what you're dealing with and what type of email it is before you start having them actually do it. So this is just training so far. So once they actually start doing it themselves, they need to actually try to categorize them in different folders. And so you're definitely going to want to double check where they're putting these emails to make sure they're understanding what type of an email it is. So hopefully you hired them slowly and right so that you don't have to do this again, because it is very tedious. But once it's all working, it's beautiful. So create those resources for future reference. I like to create recorded calls just like this. I'm using Loom right now to screen record, and you can see my face at the same time. So by doing this and then creating a flow chart or a sequence or a really detailed task list, they can see what your screen is doing, and you can show them exactly what to do and save that video for future reference. So if you're using a Zoom call, make sure you're saving it to a Google Drive where they can reference later and easily access and organize them into different folders, so that when you do onboard someone again, or if you do, hopefully not, that you just have one folder for them to just go watch all those videos and learn, and you don't have to do it again. So you're really trying to jot down everything you're teaching the first time, just in case, so you don't have to do this again. Okay, and last step is create a project management or CRM system. So for me, I'm using transaction management software programs. There's hundreds out there. I've used a lot. I've used quite a few, and these are the top 3 that I'm consistently seeing proven to work, because they are not specific to TC. They're not specific to real estate. So you can use them for anything. You can use them for project management, for construction. You can use it for other coaching programs, whatever you want. It's a project management tool to, have everyone contribute. And you can even do a CRM system if you're just trying to focus on sales. It really depends on what you're doing, but having something there, a system in place for them to reference, it can even just be as simple as a spreadsheet where they can easily jot down what they're doing, what they're working on, and how they're able to update you on where they're at on different statuses of different projects. So I like Monday.com. That's the one I use. It is very affordable and it has a lot of automations for the price that you're getting, and it's really user friendly. So with those automations, it's easily I've become a coder without even knowing it because they don't make it seem like you're coding. It's just simple logical statements that they take you step by step to make sure that you're rolling. And it integrates with a lot of other programs too. So if you're using a form like Jotform or Cognito, MailChimp or Calendly, like it links with so many different types of integrations so that you don't have to keep bouncing around. There's things like Zapier too that will connect other programs as well, but I'm not going to go into that. So Monday.com is a really great one. Asana is also user friendly. It's a little too basic for me. And visually, I like to have everything in a spreadsheet view. So Money.com has that spreadsheet view. Asana is more like, what is it? Kanban, that type of view. I'm not a fan. Airtable is the most advanced one out there, and it's the cheapest, but it is the most difficult to set up. So unless you're really good at systems operations and even coding, this one's not very user friendly, but is the most customizable and really kick ass if you can get it running. I've seen it in use and it's amazing. I've demoed it, but unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to set that up. Maybe in a long run, maybe down the road, but it's going to be a very, very slow build and transition. But that is the most advanced and cheapest one out there. It's amazing. You should go watch some YouTube videos about it. So that was the onboarding. Now we're in the actual training mode. So when you're training your VA, there's 3 different phases. Normal businesses have 30, 60, and 90 days of phases for training someone. However, I give a little bit of extra time for my VAs because there's usually a lack of knowledge in the industry, a lack of knowledge in communication. I like to go really hard on how to train them. So I personally do 2 months, 4 months, and then 6 months for training. So if by 6 months they're not trained fully, then I've failed. So I double this in size. So it's not 30, 60, 90. For me, I double it to 60, math, 120, and then whatever double of that days is. 6 months. I'm going to talk about it from this business perspective here. So 1 through 30 is don't do it until I tell you. And so this will go in hand with how clear are you on every instruction that you give to your VA. Do not do anything until I tell you. So be very clear on all of your instructions. Be very clear on everything. Number 2, do it, then tell me. So go ahead and do everything, and then tell me everything that you did in those next 30 days. The last 30 days is going to be do it and don't tell me. That means you are successful in the training. So the first 30 days, don't do it until I tell you. So we already talked a little bit about this. Make sure you have your designated folders or star systems for those tasks. You're going to be giving them little by little of your tasks of how to respond to each type of email. So by using simple Gmail notes in each email, and Google Chat for Slack and quick updates, and your designated folders for those different tasks. So each email is going to be categorized where they can see it and understand why it's in that category and how you're going to start responding to those. Some of them are going to be more obvious than others. Some of them might be case by case where they're not going to ever know how to respond to it. And it's going to be a very specific question that only you would know. And that's okay. And there's going to be a very specific folder for that. So if you are expecting emails that you're like, okay, they're definitely never going to be able to understand this because they're asking for my social security number. Hopefully you're not giving your social security number over email, but if that's the case, they're not going to know that. So you're going to want to put that in a folder where you are going to have access to and know that if there's an email in there, you can respond to it. So that's worst case scenario. Best case, they're going to understand every email and be able to categorize them and be able to respond the correct way. They should have a full understanding of all those types of emails. Now we're in the second phase where they can do it and then tell you. So Have them start triaging the emails in your inbox and categorize them into different folders themselves, and draft the emails for review. So drafting those replies. So you're going to be able to see the emails in those categories and review them and review the drafts. So that's your opportunity to correct them. If they're not putting them in the correct folders, you need to correct them right away. So make sure that when you are going in there, you're correcting them fast and right away. Because if you wait too long, it's not going to be on their mind. It's not going to be fresh, and it's going to delay an opportunity for training them. So make sure that you are correcting them and making sure, because that's why you're in this phase. Do it and tell me so I can review and make sure those emails are correct. And it's your opportunity to correct the templates and verbiage that they are doing in their reply. So by doing this, you can either use Google Chat or Slack. Google Chat is great for quick updates if you just have a small team to start. If it's just you and your VA, use Google Chat to just be like, hey, how's this category looking? Or they can even tell you, hey, these drafts are ready for review. So if you're busy or something, at least you're alerted of what's going on and where they're at. Slack is great if you're working in bigger teams and multiple threads. That's why I love Slack, because you can create different channels and different sections of work so that you're not just lost in one long chat. You can just have it in different categories. So Slack is free to use for, I forget how big your team has to be before you have to start paying, but it is free to use at first. So definitely give it a try because it's really nice. Your time block schedule is really going to be important for duties when you have no emails coming in. So if you're paying this person hourly, you might want to have them doing other things as well besides just organizing your emails, especially if there's no emails to come in. So having a time block schedule of tasks and duties that they can be doing outside of that can really help your productivity. And if they're busy and they can't get to the block schedule, so be it. At least they're handling your emails, which is most important. Okay, the last phase is do it and don't tell me. Congrats, you have fully trained an email manager. So hopefully by now, if they are able to do all of these things, send out emails without your review, you are successful. Like I said earlier, though, I like to double this amount of time just because it doesn't always take just 30 days to be able to see all different types of emails come in. So different scenarios are always coming in where if it's a brand new scenario that they've never encountered before, then I'm going to go ahead and help them out. It's not the end of the world if you're still going in and helping them on little things. The goal obviously is to be able to be out of your email inbox, but if they're, increasing your productivity by 80%, then you are successful. So time to increase sales and hire more people. I definitely think that email management is the first hire that you should ever make, especially as a TC. However, there are other rules that are important too, especially in this day and age. Social media and managing your social media content is extremely important. So that should definitely be a second hire. Okay. Remember, like I said, slow to hire, quick to fire. So as long as you're taking these steps and hiring very slowly, very tedious process, if they're not getting to this phase of do it and don't tell me by whatever your timeline is, usually it's 90, but I go to 6 months. So if they're not meeting those expectations by 6 months, fire them. Do not think about it twice, because you will delay your progression and delay your productivity. And now you should have resources for the next person. It's not going to take you as long to onboard them and train them. So fire them and hire them very, very slowly. Make sure you're doing the steps that I told you in the beginning. So thanks for watching. I'm Lexi Barraza. I'm a transaction coordinator across California, Nevada, and Texas. So if you are looking to hire TC, let me know in the comments below. I will have a link to form a consultation in there as well, and also links to all of my affiliates to some of the programs that I use, like Monday. And If you guys want me to go over anything very specific on anything we talked about today, go ahead and let me know in the comments below too. Otherwise, subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.